Winter is definitely coming, but we need to finish getting the homestead ready. Hi guys, I am out here in the goat pasture because they have the best view in the house. Unfortunately, a lot of the leaves are starting to fall down now, but they're still pretty for the moment. So anyways, it is actually really beautiful out. It's supposed to be in the 70s pretty much all week until the rain comes in. So we're enjoying an Indian summer right now, but once that rain comes, the temperatures are supposed to drop and we're gonna be like highs in the 40s and stuff next week. So winter is definitely coming. Not my favorite time of the year. I'm not a fan of being cold all the time. But that being said, we need to finish getting the homestead ready for said season. So I don't know if I will get it all done today, but I thought I would bring you along and show you some of the things that we need to get done to get the homestead ready for winter. Starting with the kitchen. Yeah. No, I will be completely honest. Housekeeping is not my strong point. I mean, I'm not great at it to begin with, but then when summer is here and all that preserving and the counter is completely full of produce. I mean, for a long time it was tomatoes everywhere. Right now I still have a bunch of peppers on the counter that I need to do something with before they go bad. Yeah, it gets a little overwhelming never having any counter space because it's all covered. So that's going to be my first task while the kids are napping, is to tackle that kitchen. And then I also need to get the barn cleaned out, get all the bedding from the barn into the garden, and at some point I also need to put some plastic sheeting on the quail cage just as like a windbreak to keep some of the cold out for them. So lots to do. I guess I better get started.
Anytime my sister has a really big cleaning project, she always time lapses it and says it's really motivating. So I'm gonna try it. And this angle isn't even wide enough to show you all the chaos going on in here, but we're gonna try it.
Well, that took way longer than I had anticipated. I have a huge stack of food preserving equipment and other things that need to find their way to the basement and be stored down there. But other than that, it's done. So now on to this barn that needs cleaned out one more time before winter. And all of this used bedding is going to go in the garden bed so that it can kind of break down and feed the soil over winter. And there are a gazillion ladybugs flying around like crazy. They keep landing on me like that. So if I start freaking out, that's why. Barn is clean. Fresh hay. Well, it was fresh till she did that. Spread it out. They'll tramp it around, spread it out a little bit more. So that's ready for winter. My kitchen is pretty much cleaned up from all the summer crazy and preserving and all that. So it's ready for winter. I do not have time for the quail today, so maybe that'll be tomorrow. If I even have plastic sheeting, I'll have to look. So we're on a roll. The garden has been dumped in and the chickens have let themselves in to spread it out for me, so that's handy. So we'll see what else we get done tomorrow. All right, back to our winter homesteading prep. Seems kind of odd doing this on such a mild day. It's been in the mid-70s the last couple of days, but it's going to be raining on and off all weekend, and then the temperatures are going to drop a lot next week. So next up is getting these quail cages winterized a bit. And by that, we're going to be putting some plastic on some of the sides just to block the wind. The quail are really good about huddling together to like have shared combined warmth. But you know, just the wind does come from this direction. So if we can get some plastic around here to kind of block the really cold breezes, that'll help them out a little bit since they don't have an actual like coop of sorts to go into. So just to give them some shelter from the elements there. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And I did not have any plastic sheeting. I could go and buy some. But when I was in the garage yesterday, I got thinking I have a lot of feed bags laying around that for whatever reason didn't make it to the trash can. And they're a little bit more porous, obviously, than just plastic sheeting would be. But I think if we just leave them double thickness, then I think it should work just fine. These guys pretty hardy, so I don't think it'll be an issue. And it's something we already have, so I mean, waste not, right? And why spend the extra money when you already have something that'll work? So we're gonna give it a go. That rooster is very proud of his crow. I'm not gonna do all of them. Down here we have our adolescent boys, which actually are at butcher age now. So they're actually pretty much at maturity. So they actually, probably next week, I'll get around to butchering them. So I'm not going to bother with that cage. These are our adult females, adolescent females, and then our young group here. I'm going to move them around a little bit though. You probably can't see here, but you can see the wire here. Mike actually took that old solar panel, that solar powered light that we used to have in the chicken coop, and put it in here for me. So now our quail have some supplemental light during the winter time. And he's got the solar panel up on the ridge line there of the roof. There is another light in this back one here, but it is not attached yet. The extension cable to reach that distance may or may not have been left tacked to the ceiling beams in the barn when we loaded the hayloft, so we can't get it out now. So we may have to just order another one of those before we can actually hook that one up. So right now only this one has light. But yeah, so we want the girls definitely to have light so that they can lay better. The boys also, from what I understand, they stop really breeding and become kind of sterile in the wintertime with the lack of the light. So we're not planning to hatch any this winter, so that's not a big deal per se. And most of those boys are going to go in the freezer soon. But so this one with the girls with the light, definitely gonna block off. I'm actually thinking about maybe putting these girls up there with them so that the larger number, they'll be able to maintain heat better. And then as those babies get older, then, you know, obviously the boys mostly will go in the freezer, and then we can kind of even out the numbers between the two cages a bit for girls versus boys, just to keep our ratios good. So I think I'm only going to actually put the plastic on 2 of the cages. And since these top 2 have the lights in them, I guess those are the ones I'm going to do. Hello, Quail. I will need to leave this part open so I can still clean up their cages, which also needs done. And unfortunately that will let some cold in, but I think it'll be okay. So, ooh, spiders. I think this will be the least porous, so I'm going to put it on the far south side here where the wind comes from. We'll go from there. Totally winging this. I was hoping that would cover the gap on this side, but I don't know that it will completely. It's close though. That should work. Alright, for the front, I think I'm going to cut these to just go across here. Maybe leave this part open for ventilation purposes, but I'm going to go get some scissors. Excuse me, chickens. This fence was intended to help keep the quail in when they escape, like especially these little ones. Get like ravenous in the morning and come piling out the door like lemmings. And also to keep the dog out. But the goats stood on it and knocked it over, so we need to replace those posts with stronger ones. So let's see. Hopefully this doesn't block out too much light during the day. That I didn't think of. Because we do not get enough sun in the winter months to keep that light charged to stay on all day. So we may end up having to come up with a different solution. We'll see. Yeah, it's much darker in there now. That's not going to help with egg laying. Not at all. I suppose that would have been an advantage to using the plastic sheets instead of the feed sacks. Because even though they're like opaque usually, it probably would have let more light in. Well, we can always change our mind if we decide we don't like it. There we go. That was quick and easy. That wasn't so bad. That was actually pretty quick. So, that's done. Now I just gotta shuffle these guys around a little bit, like I said. I did put bands on them so that I could keep track of who was from which hatch. Doesn't really matter right now so much, but quail don't really have a very long productive lifespan, so every 18 months or so their breeding pairs need to be changed out. So in another year the older ones are going to need to be replaced with new hens, so I need to be able to keep track of how old they are. So I did get some colored bands for them, and it was recommended to me in a quail group to just use those those coil hair ties, like people used to keep their keychains on them, and now people use them for hair ties. Anyways, it was suggested to just cut off a couple loops of those to use for bands. That turned out to be a very bad idea. On the little guys it was okay, but on the bigger ones it was too tight and it was causing some issues. If I hadn't caught it, it very well could have led to them losing limb or life, because it was very much cutting off blood supply. So that's not happening. I need to actually buy real bands for them, I think. So I think I'm going to do that before I start combining, just so I can keep everybody straight. So I should go do that today before I forget. And then I'll go ahead and clean up their cages real quick and then they will be good going into the cold weather next week. So we're back in the garden now. Obviously the chickens did not finish spreading this out. I actually kicked them out because they were digging up my garlic. So that wasn't okay. But I'm going to go ahead and get this spread out real quick. Pull out any plants that are left. As you see, there's still some squash plants on the trellis that need to be pulled out. These bean plants along the side here have not been pulled out. I really ought to pull out the weeds that are in here, but I probably won't get to it because I've been working between rain showers and tomorrow it's going to be the same thing. So, I don't know. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. But I'm going to, for sure, get this spread out before the big heavy frost comes on Monday morning. And then we still have those last two super hot pepper plants there. Trying to let them stay as long as possible, but they're definitely not going to survive Monday. So that's when I'm going to pull them. They've been slowly ripening. And that'll be pretty much it in here. So the goats are ready for winter back there. They're going to be going into heat here and oh goodness, just over a week. Wow. We've waited for that for so long to get them bred, and now that it's here, it's like, how is it here already? So mixed emotions there. But so they'll be getting bred in the next week or so. The barn's ready. Their side of the barn is ready for winter. The chicken side, I need to clean off the drop board and get more bedding in there. Garden's just about ready. Quail are ready. Kitchen's ready. So we're about ready for the cold weather. Well, I'm not ready for the cold weather, but the homestead is. So if you have enjoyed this, just seeing how we go about daily life here on our homestead, go ahead and subscribe and hit the like button there to let other people know and let the algorithms know that you liked it. And we would really appreciate you supporting our channel in that way, and we'd love for you to follow us along on our journey by hitting subscribe. Then our videos will show up in your feed so that you can see the next time we have something going on. Again, like I said, very soon we'll be having goats getting bred and winter will be upon us. Got a couple other things in the pipeline coming up. So until next time, enjoy the rest of your fall. Hopefully it's as beautiful where you are as it has been here, and we'll see you next time.